retirement?
I failed retirement miserably. Yeah, my husband said, you moved to Boulder City so you could retire, and then 5 years later he was going to retire, and neither one of us have been very successful at it. Uh, yeah, I'm the grant administrator for emergency aid Boulder City.
That's good to know.
Yeah, and I deal with the county and I deal with the United Way of Southern Florida.
Well, I was going to tell you, yesterday we were at $96,000.
For
And Trust owns a shopping center in Mesquite. And they're going to give it to Mesquite Works, which is a nonprofit.
Oh, wonderful.
We create a STEM center.
Oh, really? Sure.
So we had to raise $100,000. So we were at 96 yesterday, and we had a donor who said, "Oh, you're 4,000 short. Why don't I write you a check for 104?"
104. Isn't it amazing how that happens?
This is the most generous community. As long as you deliver and you are a credible person that you know you will share, continue information with. It's an incredible community.
I belong to Rotary, and I was at Rotary this morning. And one of the guys from our solar lease partners came up and handed me a case. This is for emergency aid check for $3,000, and I'm amazed.
Yeah, it's fabulous. It's just great.
My wife is here.
Oh, is she?
We're going to have to start applying for federal grants, so I don't know if we call you about grant administration.
I love it. That's really my thing. I learned how to do that at the university. You know, you have to write grant proposals and from everything from sabbaticals to get funding for research. The skill that I can carry just about anywhere.
Yes, it
So
is.
do you have a business card or can't you afford that in this city?
I don't have my new ones yet. Oh, wonderful.
So, do you have one?
Let me see if I have one.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Sorry.
I will send you my contact information. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Good morning. I'm going to go ahead and call to order the August 12th, 2021 meeting of the RTC Board of Commissioners. For the record, we have Mayor Pro Tem Isaac Barone joining by phone today, and I want to recognize our newest board member, Mayor Pro Tem Claudia Bridges from the city of Boulder City, and also thank Mayor McManus for his service on this board previously. And the remaining board members are here present in the commission chambers. With that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Maynard.
Thank you, Vice Chair Jones. And members of the board, the first item on the agenda is to conduct your first citizens participation period.
Thank you, MJ. This is the first time set aside for public comment. This time is limited to comments on items included on today's agenda. Those wishing to come forward to the microphone to provide your comments and state your name for the record. I think we have at least one person interested in public comment this morning.
A Raider fan.
Good morning, Vice Chair Justin Jones. Alita Dupree for the record, she and her. I'm going to talk about the two bus-related items, 41 and 42. One pertaining to renewable natural gas. This is very important because it's a better form of natural gas that's better in a lot of ways, better for the air. It's a resource that we can easily make more of, and it shows leadership for us. We have several hundred natural gas buses, and the second item, of course, is that we're going to be signing a new contract to buy natural gas buses, which I've been riding them for years, and I remember in 2013 when we first got them in larger numbers, and very important because it's just time to get away from straight petroleum diesel. And other fleets are not as far along as we are. We still have some of that, though not as much as we did back in, say, 12 and 13. These are consent items, as you know, but they are deserving and worthy of your approval today so we can get to work and make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else wishing to provide public comment this morning? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and close public comment and turn it back over to Ms. Maynard.
Thank you, Vice Chair. The next item is to approve the agenda, and the agenda is in order and ready for your approval.
Right. Is there a motion on the floor to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Mayor. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. MJ.
Great, okay. The next item on the agenda is to receive the CEO report. And let me... Oh. Where'd that slide come from? Yeah.
All right, before we hear the CEO report, I would like to take a moment to congratulate our director, Ms. Maynard, for being selected by Nevada Business Magazine as a 2021 Women to Watch. The star-studded 2021 class of Women to Watch were chosen by a committee of judges who reviewed their histories, legacies, leadership, and careers. For those of us who have the opportunity to work with MJ, it comes as no surprise. She's awesome. And her team worked tirelessly for our community. And certainly I can tell you over the last week or two, as we've been through our onboard and on-demand and all the events that we did over the last week and a half, definitely her leadership, passion, and efforts for our community are contagious, and we really appreciate you and know that this was definitely a worthwhile recognition for you. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. And again, thank you. And I really feel fortunate to work for all of you and to have the team at the RTC that we do. So thank you. Okay, so let's move on. All right. So last week we surprised Mayor McManus in Boulder City and presented him with his very own RTC bus. Chairwoman March thanked him for his leadership and service on the RTC board. He was very surprised and grateful to have served on the board, and we again thanked him for his leadership. And now we are ready to welcome our new RTC Commissioner, and that is Mayor Pro Tem Claudia Bridges. She has a background in finance, so we brought our CFO along with us to meet her, and the two of them, they hit it right off, talking finance. Also marketing, grant writing, which actually brought her to Boulder City. In addition to the RTC and Flood Control District Board, she serves on several other boards, including the SNRPC. Welcome to our board. We had a really wonderful opportunity to brief you and we look forward to working with you, Mayor Pro Tem. Would you like to say a few words?
Oh, I really hadn't prepared myself to say. I'm just very grateful to be here, and I'm looking forward to serving on this board, on both of them. This is what I appreciate getting to do more than anything else, really.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Vice Chair, she was an adjunct professor at Sacramento State and has been involved with sustainability since, I think you said 2002?
Since, over 20 years, almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had the pleasure to work with her on the SNRPC board,
Okay,
so
got
I
it.
know her,
Yep.
and her SNWA board, so she's
Yep.
definitely on
Excited.
sustainability.
Okay, great. And next for the CEO report, we have a mechanic recognition from our contractor MV. To present that item, we have a video prepared with Deputy CEO Francis Julian.
Thank you, MJ. Each month we always celebrate amazing stories from our transit operators or our mechanics. This month we're actually celebrating a real hero. Quentin Brown is a mechanic over at MV. He was coming back from work and saw a police officer getting assaulted. He immediately did a U-turn and with another citizen actually helped the officer get away from harm's way from those suspects. In recognition, Henderson PD actually came back to his house with 30 vehicles to celebrate him. So let's go and celebrate our real hero. So I wanted to thank you so much on behalf of the RTC, our Board of Commissioners, and our CEO. Thank you from the bottom of our heart. You're really a hero.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, this is appreciative. I appreciate the honor. It's hard. I actually don't even know. It's just kind of like an instinct kind of thing. I saw him struggling, and I didn't want anything bad to happen to him, so I just kind of did. I have lots of 20 years of experience in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so it finally paid off in that moment.
Yeah, we know we're not allowed to here, but man, what a story.
I want to thank the RTC Commission for presenting me with this. Like I said, I really appreciate it.
Francis Quinton Jones, is he here?
Now, Quinton, unfortunately, is not here for good reason. He actually is driving his son to college this morning, but
Oh,
you wished he
excellent.
was here,
Oh,
and
nice.
thanks to the board again.
Okay, great. And the next item is an update on the results of the Federal Transit Administration's, or the FTA, their triennial review. And this is a real big deal in the transit world. It was conducted earlier this year. The triennial review consists of a comprehensive evaluation, really a deep dive. They say it's not an audit, but it feels like one. They look at performance, adherence, and compliance to current FTA requirements and policies over a 3-year period. And we had to do a lot of work during the pandemic, which made it really difficult because it's an all-agency effort. I challenged the team this year that let's go for 0 findings. That's never happened. And I do want to recognize Lisa Bean. Lisa, if you could stand up. Lisa Bean worked obviously from home Lisa, she was really herding cats, and it's 21 areas of review, but we earned a perfect score for the first time in the history of the agency, and I've challenged them all. We're going to do it again next year, but we prepared by doing mock reviews even during the pandemic, and so RTC staff once again just shows how great they are. And then finally, the RTC hosted 7 days of events to celebrate the transit service changes on Sunday, August 8th. This was the largest service change in our history that included adding back service into our community, launching 2 new routes in the north and south parts of the valley, launching microtransit service and several route extensions. Each day, an event had themes that highlight reconnecting our community to health and wellness, the outdoors, food, education, and sports. And before we play the video, again, and Commissioner Jones talked about this, Angela Castro and her team, the transit team, the facilities team. This was an agency-wide effort, but I can't thank Angela enough for she's just excellent. And they're very creative, they worked really hard, and so great job, Ange.
The RTC is here today at Discovery Children's Museum to talk about the exciting new transit service changes coming up.
RTC does a great job of helping our patients come to their appointments or to the hospital, and us nurses, we definitely appreciate that.
That's what I love about the RTC. The RTC is very community-minded. They care about the whole community.
You have helped us remove 19.3 pounds of microtrash.
Hi, I am Councilwoman Pamela Goins-Brown. RTC is sponsoring a food drive that will benefit 3 Square. RTC is a great partnership, and they are a great transportation hub to get our residents around the city.
Hi, I'm County Commissioner Kip Sagerblum. Just want to shout out to RTC and sponsors for making this event happen and helping kids get back to school.
Thank you, RTC.
We know how important it is to provide these services, and for the last about a year and a half, we've been surveying out in the community to find out what was important to you and what your needs were. We recognize the importance of having services here in the southwest area of the valley and also in the West Henderson area.
How you doing? Justin Jones, Vice Chair of the RTC here. Really excited to be out here in my community. Actually, I live just down the street from here. And talk about our RTC on-demand service. It's going to be coming to your doorstep through an app, and you can learn all about the new services here in the Southwest, West Henderson, and around the valley.
For working with partners like the RTC. I'm really fortunate to work with them, bringing in these great things to Mountain's Edge.
I'm especially pleased to see RTC reinvesting their stimulus dollars into the community responsibly.
This service will get local fans to and from the game for only $2 each way. So $4 round trip from 5 convenient locations throughout the valley.
We love the RTC!
And this concludes your CEO report.
Thank you, MJ. And I just want to echo your praise for your team. Francis and your team just getting this service up and running over a long period of time. I know it was a lot of work over not only the last 6 months, but certainly over the last couple of years. And I shared a picture with you the other day, rolled up on Rainbow and Blue Diamond, where I've lived for the last 15 years, and I've never seen a bus in my entire side of town. And to roll up on the intersection and see not only our fixed route buses, but also our on-demand service at the same time, I got a little misty-eyed because it's really something that is going to truly serve the Southwest, the West Henderson and Northwest Valleys. So thank you to you and your team and MJ for the support. Yeah. And then also to Angela and your team. Anybody who's ever planned an event knows it's a lot of work, and planning 8 events back to back is Herculean, and just appreciate you and your entire team for making that happen. And then having planned an event for today that was supposed to happen, unfortunately will not be going forward. But just appreciate everything that the entire team at RTC is doing. Anyone else want to make any comments or questions? No? All right, then we will move on.
Thank you, Vice Chair Jones. The next item is to receive the NDOT Director's Report. Director Christina Swallow, who, by the way, is one of our secret shoppers she rides our bus system, which we really appreciate. And she
I look forward to being a secret shopper very soon.
She's a secret shopper. She is here to provide it to you with her update.
Sorry, I got technical my screen's not working, so I'm going to be cheating off of that over there and making sure everything's on. So thank you for having me, and congratulations on your service change. I am really looking forward to seeing the benefits of the change. I love seeing all the future riders, all the littles. I'm hoping they can be future riders, and really, like, I'm on that corridor, the lab corridor, where they're doing an innovative new service. So I'm really looking forward to it, and congratulations. So I wanted to start, as I do every month, with safety. And the numbers aren't good. They're actually terrible. The average, I was talking to Andrew Bennett from DPS yesterday, and he was telling me, I think it was a 10-year look-back average for the first 7 months of the year. That number is 165. This year, we're at 208. And we know last year was also higher than the average. We're not on a good trend. It's horrific. In Clark County, there's a 37% increase in traffic fatalities in that same time. That's 33 more people who were killed on our roads in 7 months. And Clark is higher in every single category that we're tracking at this point. I'm gonna focus on impairment. You guys may have heard the story. I believe it was this past Sunday. It was a DUI fatality. A driver was driving recklessly and at excessive speed when he struck a Toyota Camry, which then collided with a third car. The driver of the Camry was taken to the hospital and later died of their injuries. The driver that was hit the Camry was driving, as I said, recklessly and excessive speed. He had previously been convicted of DUI twice in 2015 and 2019. And he now, because it's his third DUI charge faces a felony charge. So 3 times. This time it resulted in the loss of life. We know that the leading causes of crashes this year, as was last year, is impairment. We estimate that it was 53% roughly last year. They're estimating that it's 58% of fatalities this year are impaired. And last month, I kind of chastised all of us. I was like, we all speed, right? We don't all drive drunk. I know that. We don't all drive impaired, but we likely know somebody who does. A couple years back, a prominent member of our community had a good day on the golf course, got into their car, and killed a woman in a crash, DUI. And then, many members of our communities wrote letters requesting leniency during sentencing because it was a mistake. A mistake cost a mom her life, and it's rarely just once. The CDC estimates that the average drunk driver has driven drunk at least 80 times before their first arrest. So I beg all of you, I assume none of us drive impaired, but if you know someone who has a problem, because most of the time these people that are driving, they have a problem, help be part of the solution. Help find them another way home. Help encourage them to get on the bus. That mistake is somebody's life. All right.
Can we ask questions?
Okay, moving on.
Director Swallow, Mayor Goodman has a question for you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. It's tragic. I'm wondering if you can give us in the future a deeper dive into the data. I'd like to know, are these locals, are these Nevadans, are they out of state? What are the age demographics? How many of them have priors, which means that if in fact you're finding a substantive amount with priors, we need to have a deep conversation with the court system. And I just don't think, it's tragic. Every one of these, any one of these individuals who is impaired, that's even more difficult to deal with than those who've passed away in some instances. So I'd love us to get a more in-depth look at the data, and then some responses to what you're seeing. And can you track back, can you go back a full year to let us know? Do you have that data available so we have a comparative? I would imagine now, because we have so many people driving into Nevada because of the loosening of constraints, and they're just so full of energy. And I know all of us who drive around town, I cannot tell you the number of people that run red lights. I don't know whether they're impaired or not. But if anybody goes ahead when the light goes from yellow to red, you are making a big mistake. Stay there, let that light change fully before you dare to go out into the cross traffic. And I don't know what age group these folk are. Are they visitors, or it's us, whatever. So if you could give us some more information. And then I think we need some marketing done, which I know you're doing. I know you're doing it, but it's still there, and in fact, it's increasing.
Yeah, happy to provide additional information. The impairment data lags some of the other data, so because of toxicology, and so I won't be able to do this year. In fact, I asked, right now it's a 58% estimated versus 53. So I'll get you a further look back, just because there's some pretty solid statistics as to who.
Thank you.
I think one thing that is interesting when it comes to impairment is our neighboring state of Utah. Their numbers are far better than ours. A lot of this, it's cultural. It's cultural, where you come to Nevada to play. But we need to remember that you come to Nevada and you need to play safely, and make a plan, and find a way to get home, whether you're partying out at night on the strip and you use a cab or a TNC, an Uber or Lyft to get home. If you're golfing with your buddies, one of the buddies is the driver, whatever that thing is. Like, we need, some of this is just cultural, and so that's where I ask. And I also think that some of it is a challenge. If you have an alcohol problem you still also have to have a job. You still also have to get to work. And our community is really driven by a network of roads where you have to drive, and there's not a lot of options on getting to work. I mean, the transit system is awesome, but it doesn't work for everyone. As Commissioner Jones mentioned, it now newly works for his neighborhood. So this is something we can all work on together. So.
But if it can be this as well,
Yeah.
I'd like to see that. How many are impaired? How many have had an episode? How many are on their cell phone? So if we really can look at it, it really gives us clarity as to how to address it from the RTC and NDOT perspective in all our municipalities. This is a critical piece.
Distraction is also
Yeah.
one of the challenges. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm looking at Commissioner or Councilman Galt's sign to see where we are. Wildlife, we're responding to emergencies. So as you know, NDOT is, our team is frequently the first responder to not just crashes, but to emergencies out on the road. And you can see here some pictures. Some of these pictures are from Northern Nevada. That fire on the left is from the Tamarack fire up in Northern Nevada, but we have been critically responders to fires here in Southern Nevada as well. And last month, we also had a significant landslide north of here. Our team works diligently to make sure that our roads stay open, whether it's for Southern Nevadans and Californians that are exchanging between our communities and states, or Southern Nevadans that are looking for some respite up in Great Basin National Park. Whatever the need is, we're trying to make sure that the roads stay open and clear. I wanted to touch on our sustainable funding study. MJ mentioned it, I believe, last month, and I wanted to just give you a little bit of an update on that. Our first meeting was in July, but it was basically a meet and greet, and we elected our chair and our co-chair. Virginia Valentine is chair, and vice chair is Harshal Desai. And our first real meeting occurred Tuesday this week. It was a full-day meeting. We have 29 members of our community representing business, government, energy, transportation, labor, and other organizations to really look at how do we address the statewide, but specifically the state funding shortfall. Annually, NDOT is faced with a more than $500 million annual funding shortage. And so we need to make sure that we need to figure out how we're going to fund the program, especially as we look to more fuel-efficient vehicles, more EVs on the roads. Those are critical parts of achieving our climate goals. But there won't be roads for them to drive on unless we figure out how to replace that funding. So we're having a substantial conversation about that. We anticipate, I think it's about 10 meetings over the next year with these 30 members. They're full-day meetings. We are looking at, of interest to the RTC, we are not just looking at how do we fund the state highway fund, but we're also looking at how do we make that sustainable in all regards, and specifically that we're also going to take up, it may not be as deep of a dive, but how do we fund urban transit? Our funding for the state will never be sustainable on an economic basis if we don't also somehow look at how do we fund at a statewide basis urban transit. So we are going to look at some solutions on that as well. And then the third part of this charge from the legislature was to look at land use planning and the role that land use planning has in the sustainability of the highway fund. We have lots of conversations here, and I have conversations outside of here about how are we going to build the interchange in these areas that are far outside of our core urban area. And if we continue to grow this way, it makes it not just harder for us to sustain the network that everybody drives on, it makes it harder for transit to provide the services. And so we're gonna look at that as well, the role of land use in sustainable funding for transportation broadly. So our annual work program, our board, the Transportation Board, votes on the annual work program every year. That's why it's called the annual work program. And they will be voting on it in September. It will be available for public comment, I believe, starting on Monday. And so I wanted all of you to be aware. I don't have the website for that, but it will be available for public comment starting on Monday for at least a week. We're looking forward to getting comments from regarding what's on it. They will be voting on it in September. And I just mentioned we have a funding shortage, so we have to make sure that as we develop our program that we're thinking about it on a priority basis, We're thinking about it based on goals that have been established for the state through a broad stakeholder basis, and that's the One Nevada Transportation Plan. It was developed over several years and concluded in 2018. There was a broad stakeholder engagement, including all of the counties, the RTCs, to really identify what those goals are. So how should we distribute the limited resources we have? And we came up with 6 goal areas. You can see those on this slide. Connecting communities. I can't see, I need glasses. Connecting communities, improving safety, preserving our infrastructure, thank you, optimizing mobility, transforming economies, and fostering sustainability. And when I started in early 2019, after this had been approved, I'm like, well, what does that mean? Those are fantastic goals. How do we prioritize those? So we've prioritized those. You can see the percentages here. It's really hard to say, safety is the #1 goal. You can't give it 50% because then there's not a lot on the preserving infrastructure. So you can see how those sort of balance out. Each of those has weighted criteria within them that help us understand how we're achieving those goals. And this past year, we added equity and greenhouse gas reduction to the criteria for sustainability. We score and rank all of the projects, and then we harmonize the projects. And you can see the criteria by which we do that. We look at funding eligibility. So federally, there's lots of different pots of funds. We want to make sure that we have that we use all of our federal funding. So sometimes we have to spend money in this area for this community because of the way the eligibility works. We look at, is the project going to be ready this year? Dependencies, like does it need something before or after it? Does it help us meet our performance targets that the State Transportation Board approves and adopts? And then we also look at geographic distribution. And I know that is one thing that's of critical importance to the RTC board. When the board approves it, so after our Transportation Board approves it in September, we will come back to you and show you what that looks like for Southern Nevada. That will likely be in the your October board meeting, simply because you're before the Transportation Board this coming month. So they'll approve it in September. I'll come back in October with a look at how the funding will be distributed on the annual work program and the STIP for the next 4 years. And then it is with great sadness that I share the news. I'm sure you all heard it. I thank you, Mayor Goodman, for calling me on the recent passing of one of our colleagues and really the face of NDOT in Southern Nevada for a really long time. I know many of you knew him and had the pleasure of working with Tony. He worked with us since 2014, where he started as our public information officer in Southern Nevada and, like I said, our primary spokesman. He worked closely with hundreds of our team, members of the media, local stakeholders to share those important updates and really represent our department positively. And I've heard from so many people in our community who've reached out and told me about how he wasn't just calling about, the work that was going on in the Centennial Bowl. He was calling to make sure that our local stakeholders, whether the media or members of this board or other, knew about even some of those smaller projects that were going to be a disruption but maybe aren't the top focus because they're not our biggest project, and how much of a resource he was. He is going to be missed sorely by not just our team, but broadly by our Southern Nevada community. And then lastly, I wanted to share some positive news. We have filled all of the vacancies in our executive leadership team, and we have promoted Sajid Salaria. He will be our new Assistant Director of Engineering, where he'll oversee our project delivery divisions, which include design, project management, hydraulics, structures, location, right-of-way, and the construction division. He's been with the department for 18 years, and he actually started with, we have a cool program, a rotational engineer program. He started there, got a little bit of a flavor of NDOT before he settled in our hydraulics division, and then managed to be promoted into our project manager. He is don't hold him against him when he comes down here. He's a UNR grad and a PE in Nevada, and we're very excited to have a full team because that means that we can be more responsive to you and your needs. When you have questions, we can make sure that we get the right person on it to help address any questions that you have. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Director Swallow. Any questions or comments from the board members? Okay, Mayor?
I think the loss of Tony Elia has just been far-reaching for all of us and to his family and all the friends whose lives he touched, and so much of everything that we all do here, if we're lucky enough to even be a small part of it. What a remarkable man, loyal, his integrity, his responsiveness to the most minute details, and always getting back to you, and always pleasant, always positive, and such a young age to be lost. And so just everybody value life, and thank you, Christina, for just being so kind about how valued he was. He was a remarkable man, and I look every day as I open my computer and look for his name, and it's glaringly missing, because there were at least 10 or 15, almost felt like every hour from him. So just, I do want to comment, and our condolences and prayers to the family. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just wanted to note, definitely same sentiments with regards to Tony. Like Mayor, his name was synonymous with NDOT, and appreciate his service. I also did want to note on your sobering statistics with regards to impaired driving. The new on-demand service is $2 each way. You can program it on the front end. If you want to go out with your friends and have a drink, great. It costs you $4, and you don't have to worry about getting pulled over. You don't have to worry about, getting in an accident, killing somebody like you mentioned. So take advantage. Sure. So, Francis, you want to pitch it?
Yes, folks can either go on our website or on the App Store or the Google Store and download RTC On Demand. They just type in that in the research, and then they just set up their account with their name, phone number, and they're ready to go.
An operative 24/7?
It's almost 24/7. It's from 4 o'clock in the morning until 1:45 in the morning.
Wonderful.
Yep, so you can stay out of the bar until 4 in the morning. It's great.
Exactly.
Yep. No, and you can just type in PT's Pub, and I'll come pick you up when you want to. So thank you, Director Swalla, for your report, and MJ.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is to approve the consent agenda. This consists of items 5 through 47 that can be taken in one motion.
Thank you, MJ. I did want to pull agenda item number 43 from the consent agenda. That's the item to award a contract for hydrogen fueling at the Sunset Maintenance Facility. And so I'd entertain a motion to move agenda item 43 off consent and approve the remainder of the consent agenda. All right, there's a motion on the floor. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Okay. So item 43 is to receive a recommendation from the Evaluation Committee to select an award contract number 21-026DS. It's hydrogen fueling at Sunset Maintenance Facility to Fuel Solutions in the amount not to exceed $751,565,000, inclusive of a 10% owner-controlled allowance in the amount of $38,324 for the period of August 23rd, 2021 to December 31st, 2023, and authorize the chairman to sign the contract or take other action as deemed appropriate.
Thank you, MJ. If we could get just some comments real fast about how this fits into our overall plan to move to zero-emission vehicles.
Absolutely, and I'll ask Deputy CEO Francis Julian to talk about that.
Yes, this is actually really exciting. This is our first step towards zero-emission vehicles. So obviously, we need to build the infrastructure first. And part of our really aggressive goal of going zero emission, we're starting with 2 hydrogen vehicles that will be operational in 2023, followed by some battery electric vehicles, and then we'll play with the mix, the mix of technologies. But really, really exciting. This is the stepping stone to a clean energy fleet for the RTC.
Question.
Mayor?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Where are the units of storage located of the hydrogen, and has there ever been any safety issues concerned with those in other parts of the country?
Very good question. So the storage, the design firm will help us through this. So there's 2 options. Either we will take hydrogen that will be trucked to our facilities, or we can actually produce our own hydrogen. So the design team is going to help us walk through those options. But irregardless, there will be hydrogen stored at our locations. Hydrogen is actually quite safe. It's very volatile, so if there's something, it actually is going to evaporate quite quickly in the air. I will come back to you to see if there was any incidents. To my knowledge, in recent years there were none, but I'll come back to the board to address that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think this really is a result of a grant, federal grant that RTC received last year from the Department of Transportation, and fits very nicely in with the priorities of the bipartisan infrastructure bill that was passed by the Senate this week and hopefully passes Congress here in the near future. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve agenda item number 43. There's a motion on the floor from Mayor Goodman. Any discussion of the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you, Vice Chair. The second, item 48 is to receive information on the November 2021 Board of Commissioners meeting and direct staff accordingly. So Thursday, November 11th is Veterans Day, so we're going to move the RTC Commission meeting to Wednesday, November 10th, pending your approval.
Any questions from the committee? All right. Motion. All right, there's a motion on the floor from Mayor Goodman. Any discussion of the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Hearing none. Motion carries. MJ?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Item 49 is our standing legal item, and there are no matters to bring before the board at this time, so we can move on to the next item, which is your last item, item 50, and that is your final citizens participation period.
Very good. This is the second time set aside for public comment. Anyone wishing to speak to the board, now is your opportunity. Please come forward to the microphone to provide your comment and state your name for the record. Do we have any comments? Okay. Go ahead.
They gonna be all right? Thank you, Chair Justin Jones and members Alita Dupree for the record, she and her. Good meeting today, got a lot done. It's good to be back with you. It's not the same watching live streams and archives on the big screen. There's something about being in a public meeting where I can get a lot more than just watching it, and I've done a lot of meetings on Zoom around the country, and it's not the same. So, you know, I love a good public meeting. Can't seem to get enough of them. So we're going to do lots of things with buses, things I've been talking about for years, and I've gotten some briefings looking at ways of managing our fare. You know, someday I look forward to see the day when we get away from the paper tickets. I have the app for 5 years. Never had a problem with it. I have it on my phone today. I've had the app since it started. So thank you for bringing back some more service. It's really hard when it's hot outside and the VA bus only runs once an hour. Or even the Sahara bus only runs every 20 minutes. And I'm looking forward to us seeing this service to get our Raiders fans to and from the stadium. We need that. You know, it costs $700 a month to keep a car in America on average. I don't have a car for many reasons. I could. I choose to take the bus, choose to do some ride share, and have the HOV lanes available to me when I need them, because I'm always riding with somebody else. Therefore, I qualify for HOV. Something to be proud of, I think. I think I've been speaking before you all for 10 years. I think it was 2011 that I first appeared before this board. It's not always been consistent in the earlier years, but I've probably spoken before this board at least 50 times on a range of subjects, because RTC is about a range of things, about helping me do what I need to do what I want to do. I hope we can get some more connectivity to the airport. I've been going to and from the airport, and yes, I can take the Deuce and then get the 109. It's kind of the out-of-the-way fishhook, if you will. How can we get people to and from the airport, especially when sometimes when the ride shares have a shortage? And I think the last thing we need to do is have more cars clogging the parking lots and the streets. So, again, it's a good meeting. I look forward to seeing new things. I hope I'll be back with you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dupree. Anyone else wishing to provide public comment? I do have a card from Mr. Davidson. All right. Anyone else? All right. Do we have any email public comment?
Thank you, Vice Chairman Jones. This is Maren Dubois for the record. We have 2 public comments that we received to be read out loud. The first is from Ms. Robin Kincaid. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Robin Kincaid, and I am speaking today as a parent of a young adult with disabilities that is also a paratransit customer. My daughter Kayla lives in the service area and frequently uses paratransit services. We have always lived in the service area, but that does not help her gain access to essential services because there are still some areas that do not have current service. We appreciate the efforts being made to correct some of the inlets and reconfigure the service area. We are looking forward to seeing this implemented and are hopeful that this is the first step toward helping persons with disabilities access essential services. I appreciate the changes that occurred that stopped the texts from coming in military time. That change was helpful. We are seeing some significant delays in being able to contact the comment complaint line. I have experienced wait times up to 1 hour. Please review this system and help reduce the wait time for consumers that need to bring attention to a concern. I am also asking that you revisit the public comment process and implement a call-in process and continue to take public comments that are read into the record up to the time of the meeting. I am submitting this public comment the day before the meeting because of the arbitrary 5 p.m. cutoff time frame. Please be aware of an April 2021 decision regarding the Clark County School District Board open meeting law practices. A copy of this decision is attached, and RTC may want to work with your council to ensure that Nevada open meeting laws are followed. Here is a portion of the decision. Here, the board cut off acceptance of public comments 3 hours prior to the start of the meeting. The board argues that this lead time is necessary so that the public comment may be posted to its website and trustees have time to review comments prior to the meeting. The board does not offer a reason for its failure to allow for comments to be submitted during the meeting. The public participation outlined in the OML does not only allows for the public to have a voice on agenda items prior to a public body determining its action on those items, but also allows for the public to make comment during the meeting on items that have occurred or any other matter within the jurisdiction and control of the public body, requiring all comment to be submitted hours prior to the meeting with not ability to submit comments during the meeting does not meet the requirements of OML. Thus, the board violated the OML by failing to meet the public comment and participation requirements of NRS 241.0203. Thank you for your time, and once again, please consider asking the RTC staff specific questions so we can work together to resolve these concerns. Persons with disabilities deserve your attention and the opportunity to access their community. And then we also have a public comment from Ms. Stephanie Versnick. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Stephanie Versnick. I am testifying before you for the 42nd time. I am a mom speaking on behalf of my son, Christian, who does not drive due to his autism. I have been testifying each month consistently for over 3.5 years, asking this commission to expand the service area in this community. I received a call from Mr. Francis Julian informing me that as of Sunday, August 8th, the service area for paratransit riders will be expanding, meaning my address will now be in the service area. After 3 years of testifying for this service, my son will now have transportation. This past Sunday was the first time that my son was brought home from Nellis Air Force Base. He was excited and had a sense of independence. I have testified many times throughout the years, transportation is an essential service to many people in this community. It is a service that connects the essence of independence, which links people to living a full and productive life. People are more connected to the outside world. They can go grocery shopping, work, or go out with friends independently when they have transportation. People's lives are more complete when their basic needs are met. Access to transportation allows people with disabilities important opportunities in education, employment, healthcare, housing, and participation in their community, which helps to facilitate social relationships in life. It's taken over 3 years to get the service area expanded. I applaud the RTC staff and commissioners for finally expanding the service area and putting the needs of this community as their #1 priority. In closing, I would like to add how disappointed I was when my testimony was not read out loud last month. I've been told that this month my testimony will be read out loud before it is put into the record. We need to remember we are in a pandemic and many people are in isolation. If the public takes the time to send in their testimony, it deserves to be heard and read out loud. We don't know when things will get back to our new normal, so we need to consider that the way we used to do things may not work in today's world. We all may need to adapt. It takes less than 3 minutes to read a testimony. Out of respect, the public deserves to have their voices heard. Additionally, after researching open meeting law, I could not find anywhere that there was a specific time public comment needs to be submitted. Why is this required that public comment be received before 5 the day before the meeting? The May, June, and July agenda did not have a deadline that public comment needed to be submitted. What is this reason? Thank you. And that concludes your public comments.
Thank you. I do want to give just a real quick opportunity, Mr. Davidson, last chance. Okay. With
what am I to do?
Did you want to make a comment today?
I'm not sure that's what I intended to do, but I met with Mr. Julian earlier, who indicated he would speak with me personally about my concerns.
Okay.
So I think I'll hold out for that.
Okay.
All right, if there's no one else who wishes to provide public comment, then we'll go ahead and close public comment, and our meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.